Okay, today I'm going to weigh in on suppressors for the first time buyer, somebody that's interested in getting a suppressor for the first time, and what kind of suppressor they should get and how to proceed. In my case, when I bought my first suppressor, I actually bought it with my Mac 10. It's a Mac suppressor. I don't have it here today. And basically, after having it for a while, I ran into some guys at the range and they had suppressors on their rifles, and it's like, I want to go that direction. And what I did is I didn't buy one, I bought 3 suppressors all at one time. I bought a Gemtech GM22 to cover 22s. I wanted to be able to cover my 9mm 1911. So I bought a Liberty suppressor Mystic X, and I also bought a suppressed armament arbiter, and it's a 30 caliber can. And then down the road I ended up buying a second 30 caliber can. It's a Rebel, and it's the Rebel Hunter 30 cal, I believe it is. It's a SOS Hunter 30 cal. This one I paid 250 bucks for it, and quite frankly it almost works as well as this one. This one is a titanium one, so I bought it because it's lightweight. My Mystic X here, I bought it. Not only will it cover 9mm, but it'll actually go all the way up to 357 maximum, and it will also, it's rated to be able to shoot out a 223. And right now I hardly ever shoot it on my 1911. I mostly use it on my 223. So having this multi-caliber can was a good choice. The one advantage to this is you can take it apart. And a lot of the cans, that's one of the things when I was reading about them and everything on the rifle, well, you don't need one you can take apart, blah, 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 blah. But then they tell you that you could shoot 22 long rifle in it. Well, the problem with shooting 22 long rifle, it's very dirty, lead falls out, the powder is very dirty and whatnot. In this case here with this 9mm can, I can take it apart and clean it. And that makes it a big advantage because you can also keep the weight down. I could put this on a 22 if I wanted to, but it's pretty heavy. The advantage to this is also you can loosen it up and you can kind of twist it and help get the carbon buildup that's building up on the inside of the can to help clean it. So having a can you can take apart, in my opinion, is pretty important. My arbiter here, which I mostly just now shoot on my 30-06, but I did used to shoot it in my SBR. I've got an 8-inch 300 blackout SBR, and I was using it there a lot. But I could feel that it was gaining weight, and right now it's about 3 ounces heavier than when I bought it. It's a titanium can, and you can't take it apart and clean it. And that's one of the bad things about a can that you can't take apart. You cannot now take it apart and clean it, and so shooting 22 long rifle ammo in it is going to really get it to gain weight very quickly. Okay, there's several different ways that they attach to the barrel. They have some quick release ones that and they snap in place, and they got some quick releases on them. I don't own one like that. This one, my arbiter, which I mostly shoot on my 30-06, I really don't use it anywhere else because I can't clean it. But it's what they refer to as thread over muzzle brake. And in this case, I have a muzzle brake on there. You can have a flash hider on there in place of a muzzle brake, and then it would just go over and thread over that. You're able to, when you take your suppressor off, you now have a muzzle brake on your gun. So it's kind of a cool feature to have. Unfortunately, the point of impact will shift, so you better know where your scope adjustments are at. In the case of a direct thread, you just have a barrel, that's threaded on the end, no brake, no nothing, and you just screw your suppressor on there. Okay, on a handgun with a blowback action on it, you could thread pretty much any suppressor on the front and it'll probably cycle. With a recoil operated handgun like the 1911, you need to have a knocker on it most likely. Some guns, they tell me, will cycle, but basically the suppressor being on the front of it adds so much weight that the gun will not properly cycle. So what this part does, there's a piston and a spring inside of there, So when the round goes off, it builds up pressure, and that piston hits the front, hits inside of here, and it's like tapping the front of the barrel, and it helps to get the slide to develop some momentum. When you're looking to get a can, there's basically 3 ratings you want to watch out for. In the case of this one, it's a 30 caliber can. So I could, any bullet 30 caliber or less will pass through it just fine. The other one is case capacity. How much case capacity of that cartridge hold? In this case, this one will go up to 300 rum. I do know that some of the 30 caliber cans will only go up to 308, and that's all they can handle. One of the cans that I was looking at, it was rated up to 300 Win Mag as long as the barrel was 20 inches or longer. So a shorter barrel and 300 Win Mag, and you could overpressure the can. The other rating that's something to take into consideration, and that's why I bought this one. This one actually is rated full auto. So basically I can go for it with my semi-auto gun, and I don't have to worry about burning it up. And that's one of the things that you have to consider if you're going to sit there and play with an auto loader and you like expending large amounts of lead in short periods of time. You can overheat some of the suppressors. I believe there's a limit on this one. I think they limited you to a mag, but I could be wrong about that. But as long as you don't go 1 mag and then let it cool, you're okay. But that's something else to take into consideration. If you're going to put it on your auto loader and you can afford a lot of ammo, which I can't, well, guess what? Okay, one of the things to consider when you're looking at a suppressor is accessories, and not just the initial cost, but how much is it going to cost me down the road. In the case of my Arbiter, because I went with thread over a muzzle brake opposed to a direct thread, I'm now paying 125 bucks for each adapter or muzzle brake for each individual gun. So the cost can really escalate on you. As far as the Rebel can goes, they're very affordable, but more importantly, the thread adapters are only $25 a piece, or at least ways they were when I bought these. So I can have 6 or 8 thread adapters lying around, so when I get a gun and I want to try it with a suppressor on it, it's just a $25 thread adapter. Where here you're talking $125 thread adapter. Now, one of the negative effects of putting a suppressor on your rifle or handgun, if it's an auto loader, semi-auto, there's back pressure. And so when the bolt opens up, there's back pressure, and it will blow that carbon debris back at your bolt. And so your bolt chamber, everything runs dirtier. So you're cleaning your gun a lot more often. You're stripping the bolt all apart a lot more often. You don't have that problem with a bolt action because it's all sealed up. All the pressure is relieved out of the front. Usually by the time you're getting the bolt opened up, all the pressure's gone. Now, if you're like me, you wanted to get a pistol can so that you can suppress one of your handguns. In my case, it was my 1911, which did not come with a threaded barrel on it, so I had to buy a barrel. And I fit it to the gun, and everything was cool, working good. Accuracy was respectable. But as soon as I put the can on it, I no longer could see the target through the sights. My sights are not high enough. So that's why I have this red dot on here now, is so that I can see over the suppressor. Another thing to consider is an insulating cover for your suppressor, especially if you're shooting long range with a rifle. The mirage that'll come off of this suppressor will make it so everything downrange is nothing but a blur. You won't even see your target. It's just all blurry down there. Basically, the suppressor heats up a lot faster than the barrel heats up. So having a cover on it, you can actually get a few more rounds downrange before it starts destroying your vision down there. I mean, you won't be able to see anything. And it doesn't happen in a lot of rounds either. It's not like you got to put 100 rounds down there. You'll start noticing it after like maybe 15, 20 rounds in my .6. And with the cover on, I can go a few more. Even if you're using a chamber chiller like I do, yeah, the barrel's fairly cool. But this thing will get hot, and of course, because I got the cover on it insulating it, it's going to even get hotter quicker and stay hotter longer. And like I said, it will eventually get to where there is mirage coming off of it too, and I think it's coming out of the exit. Okay, one of the things to consider also with the suppressor is what is the materials it's made out of. This one's made out of a titanium, this one's made out of aluminum. This one has an aluminum core and it has the tube is steel. This one has a tube that's made out of steel, but the core is aluminum, and it makes it so it's a lot lighter. If you get a 30 caliber can that's all steel, it's going to be around 30 ounces, 28 ounces, where this titanium one is 19 or 17 ounces, and this aluminum one is even less. And that's going to make a difference, especially if you're going to use it when you go hunting. And I really recommend a suppressor for hunting, and it's not just so that you go out there and nobody knows where you're at when your gunshot goes off. It's when I go hunting, I'm not wearing earmuffs, and that bang, you know, it's not good for your ears. Even if it's only 1 or 2 shots, it's still not good for your ears. So having a lightweight can on your gun could make a difference when you're out, you know, walking around in the forest or wherever it is that you hunt at. Now basically here I got 4 cans, and a friend of mine recently got his second can. His first can, it was a Rebel can, but it was in 22 caliber. Paid 150 bucks for it, and $200 tax stamp plus however long he had to wait. I think he had to wait close to 6 or 8 months when he got that one. And now he recently got a hybrid 46, which the hybrid 46 will cover 45 ACP on pistol. As far as diameter goes, 2 338 Lube Magnum, which means any 45 caliber cartridge that I'm aware of, other than when you get into the real belted magnums and all of that. But what I'm talking about is the 450 Bushmaster, the 458 SOCOM, 45 ACP, the 460 Roland, pretty much all that stuff he can shoot with 1 can. He can also shoot 223 with that can. He could put that can on his 9mm if he wanted. So when you're looking for a can, the multi-caliber cans are very versatile, because right now I basically need 1 more can. I would like to have a 45 ACP can. I mean, if there's a cartridge that's screaming to say suppress me, that's 45 ACP, but then have it rated for rifle rating up to my 338 Lapua. So down the road, if I ever want to quiet that thing down, I can. So that is really one of those things to consider when buying a can. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going with it? And take into consideration that, yeah, you weren't planning on going there today, but 5 years down the road, you might want to go somewhere. And since you can't just walk in and pick one up off of the shelf, there's always going to be the stamp involved and that process with the NFA, so you're going to have the weight there. So if you get a good multi-caliber can to begin with and cover a lot of things, then you're in good shape. And down the road, if you want a second can, well, I want to dedicate a can to my 223 over here. Well, then you can go get a 223 and dedicate it to it. But for right now, at least you can put that multi-caliber can on there and use it. One of the things about a suppressor that you can take apart, which I advocate having a suppressor that you can take apart and clean, is you're going to want to put something in it to begin with. When you take it apart, you got it clean or you get it brand new. And I'm using Frog Lube. I believe there's better stuff out there, and I know there's guys out there that just urinate all over that. But you want to put some Frog Lube in there, wipe it on here, wipe it inside the tube when you screw it together. That way when you start throwing rounds through it, it'll move all over the place, but it'll help keep the carbon wet so it won't stick as easily. And it makes a very big difference. In like 20-25 rounds, these can almost get next to impossible to take apart. In fact, I've got a couple of strap wrenches. I've had to use strap wrenches to get them apart. But with the Frog Lube on there, I can go a lot more rounds. Anywhere from 100 to 200 rounds. And 200 rounds is pushing it. I might be back to the strap wrench at that point. Got the Navy out here playing. I'm in the desert and the Navy's playing out here.